How you doing, everybody? This is Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner with Access.com, coming to you from the bowels of the Aztec Theater on a special rocking Saturday night. Seether, Saint Asonia, Within Reason are going to hit the stage in a couple of hours, but right now I have the pleasure of going into the pit graciously with Seether drummer Mr. John Humphrey. How are you, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Great. Thanks for taking the time to do this. It's awesome to see you guys here.
Yeah.
Let me start first of all by saying you guys obviously have a terrific history with San Antonio. I know basically between 2008, 2009, there was a stretch where you guys were here about 6 times in a span of 14 months. Always welcome, you're always rocking here, so I know that was a great time. I believe the last time you were here was 2012 at Sunken Garden.
Yeah, Sunken Garden.
Yeah, so now the visits have become a little more spaced out for a variety of reasons. Either's making a record here and there, promoters in town, that sort of thing. But it makes a night like tonight, in my opinion, just extra special because you haven't been here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about what you like about San Antonio, any special memories from gigs here in the past?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Sunken Garden. I mean, that's those are great shows. We played there, several times. And I think the last time our set, me and Sean were talking yesterday, was cut short because of the heat. It was like super hot last time we were here, so they had to cut our set short. I was in a band in the 90s that played down here, and in fact played Sunken Garden as well, called the Nixons. We were from Oklahoma. So yeah, my past with San Antonio goes back almost 20 years.
Yeah, and I remember at that 2012 show, and normally I don't ask artists about their influences because it's kind of cliche and like to cover other stuff, but on that particular show, your bass drum covers were John's initials, JH, in the Van Halen logo with the wings, so obviously that's an influence. He's obviously wearing one of his influences on his shirt right there. So I would imagine Van Halen, Kiss, 2 of the biggest bands that you grew up listening to?
Yeah, I proudly proclaim my influences, what I grew up on. I had a buddy who did exactly that, the Van Halen 2 logo with my initials. Cool. And I had those as bass drum heads. And then recently Brian, our guitar player, is also an artist. He did the cover for the album. But he also did a layout of the artwork of the album for my bass drum heads. I have 2 bass drums. And at the time, the album wasn't out, because as always, Seether starts touring well before a new album's released, because we like being on the road. So we couldn't reveal the album art yet, so it was kind of a last minute thing. What do you want to do, man? And I went, well, first thing comes to mind is Kiss, man. Can we do something with Kiss somehow? So Brian laid it out. If anybody's familiar with Kiss, it's the Rock and Roll Over album. Right. And then the 4 skulls were us. Like the guys in Kiss, not the makeup or anything, so no copyright infringement, Gene, we don't know yet. But we did Rocklahoma, and Eddie Trunk, who I know, from that metal show, a huge Kiss fan, he came up to me, he was just freaking out, like, dude, those bass drums are awesome, man. Oh, Gene doesn't call you.
Well, Isolate and Medicate is the album that's been out slightly over a year. I had the pleasure of doing one of these sit-down interviews last September with Dale Stewart in Corpus Christi on the Upwar Fest.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about there because the album was very fresh. It was really cool that you guys were on that bill. And right during our chat, one of the songs that I wanted to talk to him about was Same Damn Life, and it just so happened at that time that he was giving me some insight that you were about to film the video, or you had just filmed the video, but it hadn't been released yet.
Yeah.
So it did come out a couple weeks later. I got to tell you now that it's been a year, it's one of the funniest videos you'll ever see. I mean, the guys were dressed up as senior citizens playing in an old age home. Might be, it's always a challenge to make videos that nobody has done before. That might be, don't quote me on this, but it might be one of the only videos you've ever seen of all time from anyone that has elderly people and porn stars dancing together in the same video. That had to be a hell of a fun to shoot. What was it like doing that shoot and pretending that you were an old guy?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal, and we didn't know, because the extras were, they were for real. They were, actually senior citizens.
Right.
We were the only ones that were made up for 2.5 hours in makeup, so we were like really hoping that they wouldn't take this as an insult, because really we were just saying, I think any stage of life is a celebration, right? So even when you're old, you can't be out, you can have a good time too.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, if you've seen a couple of clips from the video, we're kind of in the Soul Train line up there.
Yeah.
And they would scatter us off, with the extras, and they were around us going, man, this is awesome, you guys are great, this is so much fun, I love how you're doing this, we think this is great. And we end up taking a huge, cast photo there at the end, at the wrap and everything, so it was really one of the most fun videos we'd ever made, and the extras, everybody were just great. They totally got it, had a sense of humor, and had a lot of fun with it.
And speaking of videos, I want to go back a couple of albums ago. Country Song was filmed here in Boerne, Texas, but basically a hop, skip, and a jump, maybe 20, 30 miles from here on the outskirts of San Antonio. That was another funny, humorous shoot, a little OK Corral type of shootout type of theme. How did you guys decide on that space? How did you find it? You know, Bernie, Texas. I don't want to say it's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a little bit away from the city. Like I said, only 20, 30 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that all come about?
The producers of the video, I think, scouted the location. I think there had been TV and some film had been shot out there. The old Western sort of setup. It was already existing. You didn't have to build, you know, a background. It was already there. So, of course, yeah, that was a lot of fun too. I like it when the humorous side of the band sort of comes out in our videos, going back to Fake It, country song, Same Damn Life, you know what I mean? So here we are, we're all made up like the cowboys, and we're on freaking stick horses, and we're fighting. It's like, you know, Toy Story on acid or something, you know. Pretty funny stuff. But we had a lot of fun on that one too.
One thing I've always wondered about you, John, how did a guy from Oklahoma hook up with two South Africans to be in this band? I mean, how did you guys meet? What was if you can give me a brief summary of the history of Seether, how you hooked up with Sean Morgan and Dale Stewart and have flourished for all these years?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I was in a band called the Nixons from Oklahoma. We were on MCA Records. And a good friend of mine, sound engineer Howard Worthen, worked for us for 8 or 9 years. That band disbanded in 2000. And I kind of floated in and out of bands there for 2 or 3 years. He started working for Seether in, I think, early '03. And Sean and Dale, you know, relocated from South Africa, moved to the States because they had signed to Wind Up. Their drummer at the time didn't relocate to the States. They had a session drummer do the first album and had a couple of touring drummers, but it just really wasn't quite vibing. So Howard suggested me, basically. He's like, there's this drummer, he's from Oklahoma, you know, similar style, I think he'll really fit the band well. So it's sort of those classic things. They were on tour at the time, unbeknownst to the drummer that they had at the time. You know, they were holding auditions in Dallas. I was like the last of 5 guys to go in. I think they had set up auditions with a couple of other guys recommended from people close in the inner circle, and I was the last guy. I don't think it was working out to my benefit with any other guys previous. It's a piece of crap kit, wasn't my drum. You know, I had to come in and, you know, with spitball and tape, try to kind of get it set up, and we started running through songs from the first album, and I had done my homework and was kind of hired on the spot. So that's like October '03. So, yeah, you know, 12 years now. So.
Yeah. That's a great segue, because I got to tell you, my introduction to Seether, sitting at home back when I lived in Florida in 2003, watching a public access channel at 2 in the morning, the video for Gasoline came on. I'd never heard the song, never seen the video. 3 minutes later, I'm calling up my best friend in Chicago, and I'm singing the song, probably poorly, but I was singing the song, and he's like, what the hell are you singing? I said, probably the best damn rock song I've heard in the last 3 years. And that was my intro to Seether. I was like, wow, I've got to check out more of this. Disclaimer 2, fantastic, just set the bar so high, so many great songs on that record. And you know, you guys have so many great songs that even are not hits, besides the country songs and the Fake It's and the Remedies. I mean, from all the albums. I mean, I could go on and on, but Simplest Mistake, Got It Made, Pig, I'm the One. I mean, there's Six Gun Quota, so many songs. And it's great to have you here in headline mode because of that, because you get a longer set.
Yeah.
How do you guys decide? Obviously, you got to play the hits. You know. How do you guys decide? Do you say, okay, we'll do 70% hits, 30% little obscure, semi-obscure stuff that we don't normally play?
Yeah.
How do you guys go about that?
Yeah, with this tour especially, we've tried to mix it up a bit. You know, you talk about Gasoline, it's, you know, I'm in the band, it's one of my favorites too, you know, and it started the set for years, and we're kind of changing things up. And we still have fun, man. We'll do a cover song, we do a Nirvana song, because, you know, that's how you start out when you're in a band, right? You start emulating your heroes, you know, and playing their songs. And so for Sean, obviously Nirvana is a huge influence. So we have fun too. So yeah, it's great to do the longer sets, you know, and to be able to do a lot of material. But like you mentioned, we've been very fortunate that we've been a band for a long time. We've had a lot of success with radio and singles, and you need to play those too. A lot of people have, in some cases, waited 2 to 3 years for you to finally come play, and they want to hear that song. You know, so it's kind of riding the fence of both. You know what I mean? Having fun for those hardcore fans, and then, you know, getting those people that want to hear that song. You know.
And of course, the challenge is mixing in the new stuff.
Right.
Of course, Isolate Medicaid, luckily for you guys, at least in my opinion, is a fantastic album. So there's great stuff to hear on that album live as well. Is there 1 or 2 songs that in the catalog that maybe you guys never play that you personally would be like, oh, I wish this would make the cut with the 3 of us? maybe we should play this more? Is there something that comes to mind that you wish you played more?
Well, actually, we're doing sound check parties on these shows too, like a VIP event. So, you know, Walk Away from the Sun from Finding Beauty, you know, was never single, but it's like a great song. You know, and we're even bringing back some of the oldies. It's fun to play Your Boar or Pig, you know, from the first album.
Right.
You know, stuff we haven't played since I was with them on the first tour. So, yeah, it's fun to pull out those, and we'll do them, crash or burn, or get through it or not. We'll do them at these soundcheck parties, which are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Play some of the stuff we don't necessarily maybe have a chance to play in the show.
How are things going with Saint Asonia? I'll be talking to them shortly after this interview. You know, obviously a super group, but there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Seems like you guys have been on the road for quite a while, including last night at Stubbs in Austin. How did that go? How's things been going with
awesome, man. The crowd was great, and you mentioned Saint Asonia. Obviously, we were friends with those guys before they put together this group. And I love all these guys, man. They're very talented. The songs are great. I love Corey and Adam, Mike, and Rich, man. They're an awesome band. Great to see live. And sometimes chemistry of these quote-unquote super groups maybe don't always line up. Maybe the names are there, but these guys, I think it's a great chemistry. They sound really good. They look really good and comfortable, and I think they're having fun.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Let John get ready for the show. But go ahead and tell people who might be watching this around the country, any other parts of the world, what's next for Seether as far as touring plans and where else you're headed after this?
Yeah, this tour will end in Spokane on the 29th of October, and that will wrap for us an 18-month tour supporting Isolate and Medicate. So we will go home, rest, and recoup a little bit, and I would imagine after the new year we'll start working on new music for a new album next year.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you there in the photo pit tonight, rocking out to a fantastic show.
Yeah.
To a lot of fans here at the Aztec Theater. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, good to
For
be
John Humphrey and Seether, this is Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner with Access.com, reminding you, don't hang them out to dry. Hold them up high.